Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to this CHRO conclave. On behalf of Aditya Institute of Management Studies and Research, I take this opportunity as the director of the institute to welcome each and every participant who is available here for this wonderful, unique seminar that has been put together by us. AIMSR, our institute, has emerged as a leader in management education in India. The institute has been ranked among the top 10 B schools in Mumbai, according to the Times B School Survey 2019. The institute is continuously working towards global recognition for learning and innovation. Our institute has received an award and certificate of excellence at the Navbharat Education Award ceremony in June 2019. The felicitation was given for being a B school that offers best fusion of global and Indian teaching practices. AIMSR has a philosophy of learning by doing. In these times of globalization, partnerships in learning, teaching, and research are important. Our institute is an institutional member of MDSA, IMA, IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, CII, MHRD's IIC, and ICIB. I would like to draw your attention to the fact that we are a very young and dynamic management institution. We are trying to make inroads into the global world by improving the education standards of the students with whom we interact on a daily basis. Our campus remains extremely active with student engagement and development activities throughout the year because our students are engaged in activities through their clubs and their cells. There are numerous conclaves which are organized on a very consistent basis to be able to showcase the industry individuals who come as speakers as well as the academicians in order to build this industry academia interface. So once again, I take this opportunity to welcome all the participants here on the CHRO Conclave webinar on the topic Emerging Leadership Capabilities Post-COVID-19. It is my proud privilege now to introduce the moderator for our panel discussion. Dr. Chandramouli Dwivedi. Sir is a Chief Human Resource Officer at ESDS Software Solution Private Limited. Dr. Dwivedi has over 3 decades of experience in leading and managing global corporate HR, CSR, teaching, consulting, and research. Recognized among the top 30 global HR leaders, he has presided as CHRO, head HR, and other similar leadership positions at various global companies. He is a recipient of many prestigious national and international awards. He has also been a keynote speaker at many national and global conferences. Sir has published several articles in leading business magazines and has also appeared live on news channels. In addition to all these accolades, Sir is also a PhD guide for several universities. I take this opportunity to invite Dr. Dwivedi to please take over the reins of this wonderful panel discussion. Dr. Dwivedi, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Sunita. Thank you so much. And very warm welcome, friends, and all the participants, all the industry leaders, my colleagues. It is such a pleasure and delight to moderate such a distinguished panelist. And I am very grateful to all my senior industry leaders, panelists for agreeing to be on this CHRO conclave. I'm sure it is going to be extremely great learning session for all of us. Uh, Topic is emerging leadership capabilities post COVID-19. Friends, all of you know we all have gone through and going through a lot of challenges, lot of new learnings. Every day is a learning for us since last almost 85 days. So the finalist is going to have a very uh, practical inputs, a lot of solutions we are going to have today for this, how things are going to be managed. Let me introduce you to the panelist. And I have great privilege to introduce my industry colleagues, my friends, and they are uh, the doyen of the industry. First, I have Mr. Ravindra Mishra. Mishra ji is the president of HR of Garware Technical Fibers, and he carries over 3 decades of experience in Tata Power, Suzlon Energy, and Matrix Fertilizers. He has been awardees for several awards, and he serves as a backbone in developing the capabilities to enhance overall organization effectiveness. He is a transformational leader. He specializes in strategic HR and leadership development. He has been trained by ISB Hyderabad on linking HR with business strategy. Mishra ji has been HR Super Achiever Award, Top HR Minds, Best Global HR Leaders, and many such accolades from the industry and forums. He has also worked in the area of emotional intelligence and the employee relations. He has been invited by several national and international seminars, and he is a very strategic thinker, a thought leader. So please join me to welcome Mr. Ravindra Mishra ji. Mishra ji, thank you so much, and look forward to hear from you.
Yeah,
Now I have
thank you.
Mr. Vartanu Kumar Das ji. He is heading human resource at L&T Heavy Civil Infrastructure at Chennai. He is also is a very senior industry leader, and he was senior vice president with Blue Dart for 10 years and has more than 3 decades of experience in several prestigious companies like NTPC, SEZ, Blue Dart, and he has led many good HR initiatives. Under his leadership, the organization has won several awards, Best Employer Award, Best Motivational Workplace to Work, Great Place to Work, many such accolades during his leadership. He has written several articles in national and international magazines, conferences on succession planning, mentoring, leadership development. He was a board member and regional president of NHRD, a prestigious organization, Delhi Management Association, and Mumbai chapter of Commerce. He has been invited as a guest speaker to several national and international conferences. And Vartanu ji is an advisor. He is a traveler, and he likes to travel and observe a lot of things. And I'm sure all of you must have seen on Facebook many innovative ideas or several things. So very distinguished HR leaders, Vartanu ji, a very warm welcome to you for this panel. Friends, I have my.
Thank you.
So please join all of you to welcome Vartanu. Now, let me welcome my great friend and colleague, Mr. Praveen Samant. And he's not visible, but I think he's always there. So Praveen, thank you so much for being there. Praveen is a senior vice president and head of human resource at 63 Moons Technologies, which was financial technologies earlier. Praveen, he is a very champion of many initiatives. He has done his master's from Narsi Monji. He is a reader, he is philosopher and social worker. He is also president of the Rotary Club. He is received many prestigious awards, and he was the president and also a trustee of managing trustee of prestigious HR Infotech Association, which represents IT industry. Praveen has been actively involved in CII, FICCI, and NESCOM, and he is awarded the most influential HR leader in India and top 100 HR minds. Praveen is also very active on social work and CSR work. And thank you, Praveen, for being there. Friends, join me in welcoming Praveen. We do not have, due to some specific issues, we are missing Anupma, but I'm sure we will have her. Anupma is director with, she is working director as D-Bold. We could have had great minds from Anupma, but we are missing her. So Anupma, thank you for agreeing, and I'm sure we'll have many sessions from you. So friends, the the whole structure of the panel is going to be like this. We will have the few minutes, maybe 5 minutes observations and the uh, thought process of each panelist on the theme and the topic, and then we'll have some questions from the panelists, and then we'll have questions from participants. So the lot of changes has happened, as all of you know. HR is now business partner. HR is the change agent. HR is the innovator. HR is the strategic partner, and HR is the growth partner. So HR is kind of a very strategic partner to the CEO for business strategy, for growth strategy, and HR plays a very significant role in organization culture, in the growth of the company. So I'm sure this emerging leadership capabilities, which is happening now, 80-90% people are working from home, and that's the reason this seminar we organized to have more insight, more thinking as how we can going to manage challenge. What are the new leadership capabilities is going to be important to manage this COVID-19. So may I request Mishra ji to say his views, his opinion about the topic and theme for 5 minutes. Mishra ji, please.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Dwivedi Saab, that for the introduction and the complete Institute of Aditya Management for organizing such a wonderful session. So the most important thing with respect to emerging leadership capabilities, as we know and we are facing for last 3 months in India. So all of us as a leader in various industries, we have been managing these situation which we are faced with, and it has been quite unprecedented, as we know very well that the kind of challenge has been posed to all of us. So with respect to overall opportunities, as we know that there are going to be a lot of new opportunities within HR. So some of the things which I will very briefly explain, that the most important thing is that whatever way things were being managed, all these rather current situation is going to lead to big reset. So the way things were being managed earlier may not continue in the similar manner. So there has to be a reset about that. We have to think about new way of doing things and managing all the people and managing the organization, because as we know that finally organization is comprising of all the people only, and the people assets, human capital, what we say, is the great asset and great enabler for the organizational continued sustainable success in long run. So with respect to this kind of reset, what exactly we need to focus on? So the first thing is going to be about digitization and digital HR. So as we know very well that remote working, work from home, and partially working from office, this is the situation which we are living with now. So we have to see that how exactly we can maximize things and overall working and performance and things don't suffer because people are working from remote location. So that's going to be one of the key things, and entire top management team and leadership has to think every day and make a proper detailed plan that how exactly engagement and effectiveness of work can be enhanced from home, because that's going to be the reality. Even most of the organization what we hear in Pune, Mumbai and these kind of places, or as of now, I think at majority places people are not working, but wherever work has started, people are working at the strength of 30% and 40%. It means the remaining 60% people are working from home. That means how exactly we can leverage their strength and keep them fully engaged and effective. That's going to be most important competence, leadership requirement, which each one of us have to learn. The second point related to work from home is that work is going to become more flexible. So as we know that when we have office working hour, there are a standard number of hours in the morning and evening. And in this kind of situation, it's going to be much more flexible, whether we start work at 6 o'clock by sitting at home, or we continue up to 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock. So there is going to be a lot of flexibility. So with respect to this flexibility, without compromising about the performance and engagement, I think every organization has to factor this new dimension of flexibility and keep in mind the comfort of all the employees, at the same time not diluting the requirement of performance as well. So that's also one important thing which we have to keep in mind. Besides, moving on to these requirements on leadership capabilities, as we are talking, there is a lot of anxiety. There are a lot of challenges with respect to people mind. There are a lot of fear factor which people are faced with that. So all the leaders have to be well connected with all the employees in the organization in real time. So maybe on the basis of every alternate day or once in a week or something. So certain communication, reaching out to them, what's going on, what is not going on, rather than being only in the technology. Because as we know, every one of us know very well that when we are in office, we are the people of blood and flesh. We have our own emotional requirement. We have our own informal interactions also. So at least in that kind of setup, we are able to meet one another and then discuss things. But in this kind of setup, that meeting and understanding one another, that will not happen. That will be through technology only. So I think keeping in mind that fear and anxiety, I think leaders have to go a little out of way in terms of overall engagement and emotional well-being of people. So for that, the most important thing is genuine care and how exactly we listen to people, how we communicate and interact with people, how we empathize with them. So those are the things, and how we continue to improve our relationship with all our people. So that's going to be the key point over there. And how exactly we distribute what we say, that in a distributed manner, decentralize the authority with central coordination. So that's also going to be one most important thing, that authority for the performance, for the overall effectiveness and the success is going to be little decentralized, and it has to be properly controlled from the central place, so that things don't go down and people are all the time charged and they are able to manage things. So these are the some of the leadership competencies or other requirement post COVID or during COVID what we are faced with, that how exactly we can manage most of these things and continue to strive without diluting any kind of requirement, and ensuring that all the organizations concerned, they succeed, they continue to do their best, and they manage things in the best possible way. And that's the only way, rather than we getting bogged down with some or other things here and there. All of us have to strive and continue towards great success of all the organization. So at this point of time, Dwivedi Saab, I think that's the summary and some initial thoughts from me. And certainly as we move along, I will have something more to add.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mishra ji, for very deep insight and very comprehensive overview. I'm sure each point is very critical, as you told, and we are facing a different kind of setup and the culture and the nature of work since last 90 days. Now, may I request Vartanu ji to please say his views, his thoughts, and Vartanu ji, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, the esteemed panelists, director, faculty, and the staffs of Aditya Institute of Management, and all the participants in this CHRO conclave, online conclave happening for the first time. We are doing a lot of innovations now in the COVID and post-COVID world. So I am very much honored, extremely thankful that I have been made part of this deliberation and discussion that is happening. The subject is very contemporary, very relevant. All of us needs to put our minds and head together to really understand the magnitude and intensity of the situation, and also what kind of strategies all of us as a group collective apply our collective wisdom in terms of not only handling and how to support the social, political and economic changes which are absolutely thrust upon, and a lot of transformational. Nobody had anticipated that this kind of situation will all be placed, despite of many of our risk review or scenario planning, all strategic planning that we have been doing, but nobody would have thought about the kind of this COVID-19, the crisis, both social and economic level, it will impose all across the globe. So therefore, it is, it's a first of its experience in our lifetime maybe, and the problem is so deep, so what you call intense, that we have been all knowing about the VUCA world. VUCA is all about your uncertainty and complex and difficult, ambiguous situations. But I would attribute this kind of environment where we are in, it is a VUCA maybe 2.0 or maybe 5.0. The consequences of it are so deeper. So therefore, my thought process and suggestion at this context will be that, first our strategies should be how to bounce back. And we would need leaders who have the head, heart, and guts to have that kind of managing this crisis, managing with fully collaborative and trustful and transparent manner, bringing all human energy together, either it is a corporate world or the social world or maybe family, wherever this kind of situations are there. As we know, human beings have the immense power and potential and possibilities. So therefore, how to synergize and bring them under one roof to convert the principle of 1 + 1 is not 2, but 1 + 1 is 11. This is the time when we have to really look for the options and the formulas and the strategies how to bring that. And so ability to bounce back is nothing but resilience. So resilience is one of the greatest leadership attribute at all levels, family level, social level, and also corporate level, institutional level, academic level. Everybody has to deeply understand, acknowledge, and demonstrate those characteristics. Who has the nerve, who can handle this situation in a very cool, calm, and confident manner. And we will be looking forward to those leaders. And it is not the hierarchical leaders which will matter, or the position and power, but who can naturally bring out these talents within him and understand the gravity of the matter, and innovatively and very creatively handle the situation. So my first recommendation would be that resilience is one of the most important criteria which will be required. But that we always know that when there is this kind of situation, someone's snap and some people or some organizations snap back. So how to revive, how to stay in the game will be another competency that each one of us have to either advocate or should look forward to and encourage our people to demonstrate that. So we have to first survive. Survival of the fittest is the thought process which is going on over the edges and time tested. So therefore, survive should be the mantra, and and adaptability. And therefore, how do we next phase should be how to adapt to these drastic changes, transformational changes that are happening. Some are fathomable, some are not fathomable, and as we understand and estimate how to adapt to the new reality and what kind of strategies that we have to done collectively. That is the second competency that I would suggest it will be very much required. And then our strategies should be how to rebound in a slow and slow pace, and taking everyone together, and it will have implications. Let us understand that everything will be good, everything will be hunky-dory. There will be situations which may not be. There are pains, and those pains may be good for someone. May not be good for certain sections of people, but yes, maybe large section of people will be going through this pain. So therefore, how to rebound, and then our strategy should be how to then move in a manner where you are able to enhance your whatever your horizon you are there, or your boundary, how to take that. So now to protect yourself and health of each and every one, members of any corporate world or any world should be the topmost priority. their mental health, their psychological, spiritual health, positive psychology and motivation should be applied fully. And therefore, my predecessor, Dr. Misra, talked about it, co-panelists said that yes, communication and engagement, and how the leaders communicate, and engage people and transparent and trustful manner, that should be the key. With this, some of these thought process, of course, flexibility, like one has to really behave like, behave like water. For example, the way situations develop, how you also take the shape of a water and get into different shapes, and how quickly you do it and respond to the various situations would be another competency that I will advocate that we have to look forward to. Finally, the situation is so serious and so challenging that, it is not that, like we said, that the flower that blooms, someone once had remarked that flower that blooms in adversity is the rarest and most beautiful one. I think therefore there is always an opportunity, and any adversity also brings some opportunities. So we need enthusiasts, we need optimists, we need positive minded people, we need who believes that yes, this will pass and we will come out very successful and build a new world. All historical incidents of such situations, right from 1929 Great Depression to World War II to maybe as recent as your 2008 and 2009 Lehman Brothers caused economic slowdown and depression, we have all come out very successful with some new innovations and new technologies, new processes, new mindset, and there has been new hope. So as an optimist, I believe that this will pass and all of us will come back again with our normal life, and the new normal will go. Yes, of course, we have to look at new ways of working. For example, your digitalization, technology, automation, and work from home. I do not say work from home, work from anywhere will be the new rule. May not be for everyone, but India will also go through a lot of transformational challenges in manufacturing and project company like ours, where automation and technology will play a big role, a big role in terms of efficiency, productivity. So with this thought process, I will close my opening thoughts and leave it to Dr. Dwivedi to take this forward.
Thank you, Bertanuji. Very, very true. Resilience, adaptability, flexibility, positivity. These are the really, really key mantras for coming up with these challenges, and I'm sure this will be a great opportunity. May I request Praveen to give his thoughts, his views on the theme and topic. Praveen, please.
Good evening, everyone. I am not visible to all of you. Maybe this is another false side of being virtual, that in virtual also I am virtual. So please consider that, some Adrush Atma is talking to all of you. But at the same point of time, I am really thankful to Sunita ji, Dr. Dwivedi, Professor Anand, to invite me to be participant as a panelist in this conclave. The topic is very relevant. Most of the HR leaders like Bertanu, Ravindra ji, Dr. Dwivedi have spoken much about what this situation has brought all of us into, and what could be our response to this situation. Most of the points that are already been said, I won't like to repeat those points. I would like to give you an analogy that how an HR has responded in my organization. In the initial phase on 22nd of March, when lockdown was announced, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we had to go for a work from home module. Till then, it was always a belief that jo samne dikhta hai wahi bikta hai, and we always under the impression that person who is sitting next to you is actually working, and somebody who is pretending that I am working from home is actually pretending he is not delivering. And the work from home module from then and from now on, there is a complete sea change which has happened. We believe now that people who are working from home are actually delivering. And like Ravindraji said, the working hours are not only restricted to the actual working hours 9 to 5. They are early morning, late night, they are on Saturdays, they are on Sundays, you know. बेचारे लोग घर पे बैठ के बीवी के सामने बीवी का काम करने से ज्यादा ऑफिस का काम करने के लिए प्रायोरिटी दे रहे हैं, ऐसा लग रहा है. But that apart, it is happening in reality. The team leaders and their managers and their HODs are actually seeing minute to minute data as to who has worked what and how much that person has contributed. And the model is working out so well that now most of the IT companies are actually thinking why they have to invest into so much into the infrastructure management, the facilities that they have created. If the work from home is happening, they will end up saving more money into having people operating from home. And that's the new thought process which is emerging from this COVID-19. And that's a very big plus for an IT industry. It's not only service industry, I would say. It may not be a plus for manufacturing sector, because manufacturing sector is still on assembly line. They have to work in a very fixed manner. There are machineries that they have to work. There is a foundry which they have to attend to. But apart from that, there are other people in manufacturing sector who are office staff. They can now work from home and deliver. So there is the hindsight because of COVID-19 is there is a saving for infrastructure. The other side is that the people with whom you used to work with, people whom you used to talk to, people with whom you used to counter with, are no more going to be with you. They are working from different locations. And this is a new side that you have to possibly work on. All our HR programs, the engagement activities have gone for toss. Now there are no engagement activities in physical presence. All those are virtual. And पहले ही लोगों को पकड़ के लेके आना पड़ता था engagement के लिए, training के लिए. Now it is almost another challenge to get them on a virtual platform, because on Monday to Friday they are going to be delivering from different places on working from home. So that's the way it is. The other thing that I personally have experienced is, as soon as this corona started, there was a lot of fear of corona. Slowly, one lockdown, 2 lockdown, 3 lockdown, now 4 lockdown, and now unlockdown. The fear factor is going away, and the acceptance level is coming in. And with that acceptance level, the another acceptance level is coming in, that out of my 1,200 employees, 6, 7, 8, 9 people are down with corona. That is another acceptance level as an HR, and then for an organization to take in that people are now fighting with corona. What should be our approach? To tell you one example, one of our employee who stays in a area which is very densely populated. It is called Shivdi in Mumbai, and very densely populated there. And he used to stay in Chawl, 1-room kitchen. With him, he had 2 ailing aged parents, his 13-month-old son, his wife and younger sister. And unfortunately, he was caught up with corona. He went and got admitted in a government hospital, GT hospital, which is next to Victoria Terminus, CST. And he got admitted over there for 4 days. He was not been treated, not been attended. He just got a bed and he was staying there. And we got to know through his tweet that he got admitted. And that's how then we retweeted, then the tweet went to the control room of Mantralaya. And from there on the query came, and then we started responding. And then we got to know that he has been admitted. And then we said that we must help this boy. And if there are any other cases, because of the taboo of, it's like, mujhe AIDS ho gaya hai, so I don't want to disclose. But corona is a disease which anybody can caught up anywhere. And if that be the case, let people come forward. And we took that tweet as one of the best medium, and we started, explaining everyone on a social media platform that this is what it is, and your HR has opened up a special helpline for such cases. If there is a corona in your family members, to you, self, or anybody else, and if you are not finding hospitals, if you are not getting help, anything that you need, we are there to help you. So now my team has become a delivery boy. So the person who is in a hospital is asking my team member, मुझे जरा fruits चाहिए, आप deliver कर सकते हो क्या? So up goes somebody staying next to the hospital. He goes with the juice or fruits or likewise, and that is spreading a different communication altogether. It's a demonstration that HR is doing to everyone that we are with you. And in this hour of crisis, if HR is going to support this way, people believe that the organization is caring for them. And such kind of demonstrations will take a company in a longer duration. If the boy he got released yesterday and he had thanked in an open platform that HR supported, and there are other cases who also are thanking because we are supporting them. So this is the way HR is demonstrating the emotional part, the empathized part to the employees. And going forward, maybe 6, 7, 8 months down the line, such kind of cases are going to get increased, and thereafter the graph is going to come down. So HR has to demonstrate as well as empathize with the employees and with the management on the cost controlling measures. HR has to do a different activities altogether. So it's a balanced thread on which HR has to talk. That's my summation to all of you. Thank you.
Very nice, Praveen. Very nice and very practical insight. A lot of thoughts and how you help the patient. I think this is how HR should work. HR should be treating everybody as a customer, and their smile, their joy, their happiness should be the focus. And I really appreciate the way you have taken the tweeted and the employee got treated. I mean, you see, if you have not tweeted in last 6 days, he was just in the hospital, what could have been his mental agony. So thank you for your thoughts. Very nice. I have some questions from the panelists, and so then we will have the question directly coming from, there are a lot of questions coming to me from the participants. We have a very large number of participants, and so we will take whatever maximum questions. And I really appreciate participants are asking questions with their name, with their company name, and they are particularly asking from the panelists. So few questions, let me go through first. Mishra ji, what changes can HR bring to organization policies to keep the employees' motivation and engagement post COVID-19?
Yeah, I think thank you so much, Dr. Dwivedi Sahab. The most important part for employees all over the world, and specifically in our Indian environment for the organization, because setup is something different, we need to certainly revisit our complete HR policies and procedure manual, so that it is serving the purpose of the organization in current state. Okay, I will cite certain examples that how exactly we can benefit. So first policy is going to be related to work from a remote place. Okay, as other panel members were also saying, work from anywhere. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you are at home or you are in some other city with parents or somewhere else. Okay, so I think that's one most important thing with respect to HR policy, work from home, flexi timing as well. Okay, that's another HR policy which can be revisited, so that work doesn't suffer, because every one of us, and I think all the leaders in every organization have to remember all the time that organizations are meant for delivering performance and succeeding year after year, no matter what. Okay, now it's an unprecedented situation, very difficult situation, but whatever best can be done by each one of us, and certainly from the leader, because as we know that whatever we demonstrate from top as leaders, that gets followed at lower level also, and people fall in line, and then they start seeing those things, and they also start believing into those things, and they start demonstrating those kind of behavior on day-to-day basis. So from that point of view, I think organizational success and performance is going to be sacrosanct. So from that point of view, some of these working area, that how exactly we can be effective from remote working, that has to be kept in mind. The second point is with respect to in terms of HR policy about medical insurance and the coverage. Okay, even what Savanji was explaining, the rather sharing the example with every one of us over here about hospitalization and other things. So God forbid these kind of situation don't arise to many employees as such, and as long as our rate doesn't go up and things are under control, that would be great. But still, in case of that kind of situation, something happens and then hospitalization happen, and if expenses are quite high, then there has to be some special coverage, because as it is, people are having so much fear, so much anxiety that what's going to happen. Okay, because work has to happen, people will be going in manufacturing industry to office, for example, as plants which are manufacturing products, those cannot operate from remote location, no matter what degree of automation we will have, what kind of robo system we will have. Still people will be required to supervise certain shifts for manufacturing and production. So from that point of view, what all facilities we can provide to them, so that they don't have fear in mind for their own things, and extra care what we can demonstrate to them, that's going to be important. And the third part is that this key result area and the target setting and the goal setting, what it used to be normal during prior to lockdown and in earlier situation, I think that needs to be revisited and relooked and aligned with respect to the current work environment and current challenges and current scenario. So that I think everyone in the organization needs to understand and appreciate these kind of challenges what we are faced with, and accordingly we need to be quite innovative in revisiting our HR policies and seeing what exactly and what all we can do. And in that particular process, it would be quite good that if organization can have certain small task force from different functions and different areas, can seek what we call it bottom up kind of communication, the feedback, and can understand that what exactly is the need of the hour and what employees in general are expecting from us. And then we should be open enough in revisiting our policies. We should not be at any situation rigid on revisiting those kind of things, and that is only going to give much better, stronger motivation to our employees, and thereby their engagement will be much higher, and that's how they will demonstrate much higher success, and that success for the organizational growth in long run will also continue.
Very true, very true. Thank you, Mishra ji. Such a elaborate response and very deep insight. My next question is to Vartanu ji. Vartanu ji, what should be the role of a leader in managing stress due to uncertainty in employees regarding the future?
Yeah, Dr. Dwivedi, as I had outlined in the beginning, and also other speakers and you, everyone spoke about it. The situation is abnormal, situation is new normal, and therefore the element of stress is already setting, already there. And there will be anxiety, there will be tension, there will be apprehension, there will be negativity already spreading, and therefore it will have in the minds of the employees wherever they work. Now the role of a leader is how transparently and trustfully and how regularly and frequently he reaches out to people. So communication will be a very important element of the leadership role at this time. And my second, in different forms, maybe small groups like Mishra ji was talking about, or top down, bottom up, how he does, takes feedback from all groups, all sections of people. That's communication, and that communication should talk about, the business continuity, the business performance, and how it is, and very openly they should thread barely or discuss about and share aligned people about where do they stand and what they are doing, how to face the situation, what strategies they are re-strategizing. There is no case of annual plan or a quarterly plan now. I think it is a everyday basis scenario is evolving and changing, and every day something new or other is happening. Although we have all opened up offices with, as per government guideline, maybe somewhere 33%, 50%, 10%, whatever it is, the situation may not remain the way we are. We were in the beginning, we were hoping for, like our Honorable Prime Minister said, I'm seeking your 15 days time, but it then moved into 30 days to 60 days to now it is going to 90 days. And beyond that, what? There may be some areas we have to live with this. The context, we are in such a very, what we call difficult situation and unpredictable situation that we have to live with this. So the stress, as we said, intermittent stress is always good, but if someone gets into a perennial stress, the leader's role is to communicate and talk about performance, what they are doing, re-strategizing, and also seek the support and suggestions like Mr. Ji said, and then again go back to them. So continuous communications. Now, second stress and element would come from employees about their health, and when they are coming to office, then what care you are taking, what tie-up you have done, what facilities infra you have created for quarantining, for treatment when hospitalization is not available, what psychologists you have kept in your channel, what doctors are there, how you are reaching out to them. Not only the employees, now the situation is such that you have to reach out to their family members as well. That is the second aspect. And third most important one is, regarding benefits, regarding their jobs, and regarding salary card or variable pay, not pay, timely salary payment, all those issues, apprehensions will be there in the mind of people, whether my job will be there, not there, and whether my promotions will be happening, my increment will be happening, and all those things have to be packaged in such a objective and what we call very objectively, and you have to keep it on the table and tell them very proactively and on a timely manner, because situations is changing very fast. Now, fourth, the most important thing is I have or we have experienced in our what we call, I have read a lot of stories and also within our house, that there is huge amount of pride, and we are I think Praveen ji mentioned about that when by giving that hospital example. So how to channelize those positive and pride and belongingness and the extra role behavior, the organizational citizenship behavior that many of our employees and the members are demonstrating at this difficult time. So like, people are supposed to work for 7-8 hours in an office, but people are working 12 hours. And equally, they are also contributing and supporting, collaborating with their family members for household work. So there is a tremendous amount of energy and positive support that employees are demonstrating. And then what programs or what initiatives you are taking to de-stress the employees and bring the positive psychology through them, and therefore Vedic management. My recommendations to everyone, those who are present here, that Vedic management is the formula. India is known for it, not only for your proper health and immunity, proper diet, but also yoga, meditation, and how to enhance the mental power and grit and determinations are the requirements. So these are some of the 4 or 5 pathways or the recommendations that I would keep at this stage in response to your query on stress management, Dr. Dwivedi.
Very good, wonderful. I think these are the proven facts that this Vedic management, yoga, pranayama, meditation is really helping. Actually, we have every day session of yoga, pranayama and meditation 7 o'clock in the morning for 90 minutes, and hundreds of employees join, and so many are getting benefited, and I think this is very important. So I move to the next question to Praveen. Praveen, will this change will lead to more outsourcing of HR process, or there will be increased trend of in-source HR process, and how the HR is going to take shape? What is your view on this?
My answer is no. It won't lead to outsourcing of process. Yes, small organizations, they are actually affected due to non-business. But the large ones who are stuffed with their kitty and have sustaining power, their approach would be to rely on the HR who are in-house HR rather than giving it to outside. The point being, one, your employees are mostly out of office, so they are working from different parts of India, because young people like cities in Mumbai and Bangalore, most of my employees who are young, 25-year-old, 24-year-old, they have moved back to their hometown and they are working from there. Okay, so they are actually not in office, not visible, and outsourcing a service to altogether a different agency who have not meet any of my employee, not spoken to any of my employees, and asking them to handle the employee stress is going to be double whammy for the organization. So I personally feel outsourcing is not the solution as of now. Outsourcing will work only when the processes are decentralized. Right now, it is like Bartanuji said, we have to centralize the process. The command needs to be in few hands who would know how the organization is behaving, how the competition is going to behave on us, what strategies that our leaders needs to adhere to, and how the employees needs to be retained most probably. And if the employees needs to be retained, then they need to be handled with empathetic approach. And those empathetic approach for an outside vendor and in-source team, there will be always two different approaches, because the outsourced agencies and their people will have some kind of mandate to act on, and they will act on those mandates. But these people will escalate internally and get the things done the way I mentioned you the examples. I did not mention you further that the boy went to the hospital and his father, who was at home, started getting fever. And they needed to be quarantined altogether in a containment room. So we had to then send a vehicle to pick all 5 of them, the father, mother, wife, 13-month-old son, and his sister, and put them into a separate place. Wahan pe they were not able to get food, so we had to arrange food for them. So if these things are going to happen in future and such kind of activities needed to be done, then the outsourced activities will not work. So I personally feel the outsourcing is not an option as of now. Going forward, when the business will become normal, then you can outsource. But right now we are in a situation of unlockdown, and the new normal is yet to sink in. As Bartanuji said, we have also made up, as Ravindraji said, we have also made a back to work policy. And the back to work policy talk about the safety matters, wearing mask, then owning a sanitization on desk, calling people with 6 meters distance from each other if they are working in a linear section, how to reach to the office and back to home, and likewise. So these kind of policies are getting unfolded, and they are more empathic policies, and that's how it is going to be. So my answer is no to outsourcing.
Very good. So this question was asked by Supriya. She is the working with Vermost. So Supriya, thank you for asking this. Now, Misra ji, this question for you from Sakshi Pandey. She is working with Shiva Industries. And she asked, do you see that any new HR metrics will be evolving in measuring HR effectiveness?
Yeah, I think I was going through even some of the questions which were being put over here by certain audience. Okay, so there also people have said this. So I think the most important thing in new situation post this lockdown and post COVID, which is going to be there. Okay, I think all the matrices for measuring HR contribution and the impact of HR as a function has always been there. The only thing, the ranking and the priorities will change with respect to those requirements. Okay, I will cite some of the example, Dwivedi Sahab, that for example, even what Praveen Sawant was referring, that with respect to motivation for the employees, employee care, how exactly we communicate, how we reach out to them, I think in this kind of situation that need of the hour is certainly much higher. So I think for not just for HR function, but all the leaders of the organization, I would say senior and top leaders of the organization, they need to prioritize some of these people related requirements and address to those things on timely manner. Otherwise, if these things are left behind and not prioritized, and if people are focusing too much only in tangible requirement, I think that will not yield much success, and that may not bond people with the organization. So with respect to engagement, it's very important that some of these skills are regularly demonstrated, not just by HR, but entire management team. So I think coming specific to the answer, Dwivedi sir, the most important thing is going to be there with respect to employee engagement, employee contact, what all we are doing. I think some of these matrices with respect to time spent, valuable contribution made, to how many people we reached out, and those kind of aspects will certainly will get priorities and will get higher ranking in time to come, and that's how organization will succeed.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Mishra ji. Very well responded. Vartanu ji, question from you, from Mr. Rahul. He is General Manager HR with GECPL. He is asking, gig workers will be on rise due to industry pressure and digitization. How would this impact the culture and competitiveness of the company?
If I have understood it right, we are saying that workers' numbers will rise or reduce. What is that question? Can you repeat it?
Gig workers.
Gig workers. Okay. What will be the impact of gig workers?
How would this gig workers
will
be on the rise due to industry pressure and digitization? How would this will impact on the culture and competitiveness of the company?
Yeah. You know, this work from home or a 5 days work week, most of the town hall that I have been associated with my human resource HR career for last, let us say 15-20 years, out of 30 years that experience that I have, people have been always been asking for either 5 days a week or a work from home, some few days work from home. Now this COVID-19 has ushered all of us into a very different situations. And therefore, now I am hearing even from the topmost leaders that we can have if we can have our board meeting online, if we can, have customer meetings online, and what we call so much of business development we can do online. Why can't we work each and every task on, other than projects and the manufacturing? So what I'm trying to say is this is going to become a reality. Each and every company will explore and examine and experiment with this concept from work from anywhere. And if we look at the mindset and what we call the ease of use of the new generation, especially the gig workers or the new millennials that we talk of, they are quite comfortable with this. And they are absolutely looking forward to this kind of opportunities and work arrangement. Organizations will definitely facilitate this process. They will come out with new policies which will be more balancing organization interest and also individual interest, and they will be excited. But I am hearing another story as well. People are talking about same gig workers, that how long, when is the office going to start? When can I meet my other colleagues? When can I see my workplace? So therefore, it will not be 100% work from home round the year. It is not advisable and not recommended. And therefore, we have to have a balanced approach. Now, this should not be looked at. People are probably looking at this subject of work from anywhere as a other than IT and other sectors, that cost initiative. It should not become a cost initiative. So it should not be seen as a cost intervention or cost saving, while that may be a byproduct or an outcome of whatever re-engineering you do in terms of your work practices. So culturally, the previous generations people or older generations people were not accepting this. So they have now accepted it as a new form of reality, The people, those who are within the same kind of organizations, people who work in the operations, people who work in the projects, people who work in the manufacturing sites and offices and regional offices. Always there was a feeling that others will feel it unfair, as a discriminatory. So now probably it will be easier for us to tell them that probably this is a new reality and that grievances and grieving and complaining mentality will not be there. It will reduce while it may exist. So therefore, how to bring that flexible options in terms of there may not be, if we are doing a work from anywhere concept and releasing some office space, there may not be your cabin, there may not have dedicated workplace, and how to reinforce those, same concept while they are coming back to workplace as well. And then like Misra ji said, how do you create a culture of responsibility and accountability? Wherever you are there, you take responsibility to deliver with a timeline manner. And something you can monitor, something you cannot monitor. So you have to, it will lead to high amount of trust, high amount of empowerment and freedom. And I believe that the gig workers are the fantastic, what we call younger generations, very talented, very multifaceted and dimensional. And therefore we have to really encourage them with higher responsibility and accountability and proper reward and recognitions and transparency. And therefore I see a lot of changes in the culture, but it is not that radical changes are going to happen, because once we come back 100%, then people may forget, some organizations may forget, some organizations may take it as a warning and do it proactively. So these are some of my thoughts on this, while others panel members can also enrich and contribute.
Thank you, Vartanuji. Very practical insight about this. Praveen, there is a question for you from Medha, and so this question is, Medha wants to know from you. She is from New Age. She is Senior Manager HR. What changes it is going to bring in the recruitment process, and how talent is going to be attracted in the coming changing scenario, and if there is any change in the whole process of the recruitment for attracting new talent. Praveen, to you. Praveen, are you there?
Hi Medha, I was unmute and forgot to unmute. I was on mute and forgot to unmute myself, and I didn't realize till the time you said, Praveen, are you there? So I am here.
Okay, so let me ask you a question again.
I know the question. I know the question, sir.
Okay.
I'm not going to waste your time into this. So thank you, Medha, for this relevant question. And it is very relevant. Recruitment process per se is a subset of the growth trajectory of any organization. In the current scenario, the growth trajectory itself is in question. Organizations which have invested into growth prospects are right now holding on to their future plans. They are assimilating as to how should we go about it, what should be our approach, and if we need to have a people management for our future plans, what could be our approach is going to be. IT per se has no issues with respect to future plans, but when it comes to manufacturing sector, they have to redo with the assembly line completely. Their entire manual work now will have some kind of approach where social distancing will come into. And in fact, this industry, manufacturing industry, will have to rework and regroup their entire thought processes as to what way they can have the workers and laborers to work and contribute to the organizational goal. Coming back to the recruitment process per se, I see recruitment process will happen into service industry, not much into manufacturing industry, for the simple reason that manufacturing industry need to possibly now redo with their systems and processes. But as far as the service sector is concerned, yes, definitely, especially the e-commerce section, they will be on the rise. There are a lot of opportunities over there. People will now get into the virtual shopping mode, virtual delivery mode, and I see robotics will play much role into that. Artificial intelligence is going to play a much role into it, and people who have the expertise into these fields will be into demand. And if they are going to be into demand, it's going to be a lateral hiring mostly than the fresher hiring. Freshers will have to get a conventional mode of approach to get into any organization, the way it used to happen through campus recruitment. Campus will need to be more patient with respect to the recruitment activities. They need to see to it that their talent pool need to have the tools and techniques to live into the virtual medium and deliver. So there is going to be possible a separate section altogether in most of the campuses to possibly teach the outgoing talent as to what way they have to work in virtual processes in any organizations. So e-interviews will happen rather than the physical interviews, and e-interviews will there are various mediums through which e-interviews will happen: Zoom, Skype, Microsoft Team, through which we are connecting with, and those e-interviews, earlier there used to be first only one round of e-interview, and then people used to call person in physical manner to meet to see how the person is behaving and his mannerism. But that complete process will be now in e-interviews. Only in the cases of senior CXO level, C level, IC, there is a possibility of one-to-one meeting, that too happening at the last leg of the interview process. But otherwise, most of the interviews will happen e-interview process. The negotiations per se, because there is a lot of influx of the talent going out of the organization. Some small organizations have folded down, and that's how government has come out with a package through SME and MSME section, and so that they can survive and they can possibly feed people, their employees. So negotiation with such kind of talent who has been thrown out of the organizations is a completely different ball game altogether. And most of the organizations should empathize कि talent available है, मिल रहा है तो निचोड़ के कम कीमत में मत लो. Because there is always you have to see to it that the talent that you are going to hire is going to be your employee. So you need to treat that person at par with your internal employees. So don't try to hard bargain with the talent which is available to you. See to it that you give a proper pay package to that person, so that the person joins and then remains with the organization and doesn't be disgruntled going forward, that I was hired because I was in need and now I get to see that my other colleague is 1.5x or 1.75x than me. And if that be the scenario, that is another dent to the organization. The another thing, offer to joining ratio are going to come down drastically, because there are people who are going to be virtually available. You spoke about gig economy. Gig economy is nothing but this only, that people who have lost the job are going to join the gig economy and going to offer their services to the future organizations. And there the offer to joining ratio, which used to be earlier 60 days to 90 days, will come down drastically to 20-25 days. And in which case the talent will be easily available to join you, and thereafter it will be responsibility of the HR to see to it that the e-induction happens, the e-joining happen, and the talent stays with the organization. So that's my summation about the recruitment process.
Wow, very good. Misra ji, this is a very important question. Praveen, thank you for such an elaborate answer. I'm sure this is going to be complete change in industry of recruitment. So, Misra ji, the question is, how will be the export industry work post COVID-19, looking at the current scenario, and how will startups sustain in future? This is the question asked by a student in the B school.
Yeah, so I think Dwivedi Saab, what the point means that export-oriented unit or the manufacturing unit and the facilities which are dependent a lot on export, okay, to various countries, how exactly they are going to cope with, okay. In my opinion, I think our own organization, the organization where I am working, is also according to that fits into that kind of boundary. So we export our product to some 70 odd countries, okay. And I think let's take example of any other organization also who have quite diverse business landscape all over the world. In my opinion, I think bouncing back and coming back on the track and delivering great performance, it would be much easier because they are not going to be dependent on the situation of one particular region or one particular country. Okay, so they are going to be at advantage. If we see about this COVID situation as well, I think it started somewhere in December in China, and then how exactly it has moved to different part of first to countries like Italy, and then Spain, and then UK, to some extent in Germany and some European countries, and then finally it has moved to the countries like US and Brazil, Argentina, those type of places also. And even the impact in Australia, New Zealand, those type of countries has been quite less. So the organization who have quite a wide landscape of exporting their product and having export business, let's say from Australia to America, in that kind of global presence, will be certainly at advantage because they are not going to be impacted with this kind of COVID situation in a big way. Because if some regions and some areas are getting hampered because of this COVID situation, some other country and some other region may try to pick up. So there are going to be different curves in different part of the world. So naturally there is going to be advantage. The only most important point which all of us must keep in mind, that our own internal ability to bounce back is going to be very important. So I think internal agility and what we say the organizational effectiveness within the organization has to be great enough. There has to be very good collaboration between sales, plant team, and then supply chain and all other functions, so that everyone joins hand together and then they contribute and they are able to grab that opportunity with both hands, and then they are able to do well. So in my opinion, I think it's going to be a good kind of situation, and that's how organization who are able to rather grab this opportunity will continue to succeed very well.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Mr. Ji. Bartanuji, there is a question from you. You know, there is a survey from Gartner, and they say around 80% people are willing to learn new skills. There is a survey from CFO Forum. They are saying focus is going to be more on work from home, and the very critical business sensitive people will be hired. So what will be the role of Aditya Institute like the Management Institute? What are the approach they should bring to prepare the student to play the right role in the changing industry scenario?
I think this is a very, very pertinent question given the situation that we are in. And we have to really look at, take a very long-term view of in terms of the skill set, because you know, it is not going to stay the work we are in, but technology, as I had said in the beginning, technology, especially the IT technology, digitalization will play a big role in terms of service deliverables, in terms of you know, office work, in terms of your productivity, and therefore the technology part and digitalization part will play a big role in terms of your, maybe my other colleague said that artificial intelligence, your blockchain, or maybe, you know, robotics, or maybe what we call analytics. These are some of the areas. Even my thinking is that non-technical people, not necessarily the engineers, the management students should also be equipped with this kind of what we call digital tools and techniques, not only understanding, but also how to use them and how to even require if, develop them. So second, my suggestion would be that. Third, on the behavioral side, or the leadership side, we have to equip them with the flexibility, and how to collaboratively work in a situations like this and take and work in an ambiguous environment. That kind of competency people need to have. Forget about the individualistic approach, the collective approach we have to take. That kind of skills we have to pass on. And most important, I heard some of my other panel members also talk about that the general approach to education and learning probably need to be rethought, because the specialized, the expertise part will play a very big role. So each individual student must demonstrate and market or showcase what he is capable of in terms of his expertise. What is his expertise and skill set? At least one area for which he will be able to, do a ROI, or he can earn money, and for which the companies will be hiring them. Number one, the third element that I'll talk about it. And fourth most important one is, how to find meaning in each and everything that we do. Not necessarily they have to now look for a job, and and how work passionately in a very what we call finding meaning and purpose. Like someone had said that he who has a why to live in, he bear almost anyhow. If so, how do they become purposeful? And if they're purposeful, they can find a meaning for themselves and find out that expertise for which they can showcase, not necessarily getting a job, but also but they themselves become a USP to earn a livelihood and serve the social cause. This will be my submissions. Yes, it can be enriched and it can be grown, as we move on.
Very true, very true. Thank you, Bhartanuji, for elaborate response. So before I go to each panelist for their closing remarks, Praveen, this is the question for you. What will be the new opportunities will COVID-19 will bring for HR professionals in general? Praveen. Praveen, are you there?
He is muted. I think you have to unmute, Praveenji. You please unmute.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you please repeat, sir, again?
Praveen, the question you, what kind of new opportunities COVID-19 will bring for HR professionals in general?
Oh, new opportunities for HR professionals.
Yes.
Wonderful. Lot of opportunities for HR professionals. The leadership is at display of HR professionals. The organization is looking up that there is somebody who is communicating constantly to the people at large. There are various mediums through which your HR leaders are communicating. In our own organizations, we have 5 groups of WhatsApp, each consisting 250 members. And we take sessions and pass on the information through those groups. There are people who are not accessing the emails. So we have opened up a complete helpline. It works like BPO for all my employees. There is also an approach to see to it that the well-being of the employees. So like Dr. Dwivedi have mentioned, we also conduct yoga sessions and fitness sessions. We also have internal communities and groups to create the awareness of Vedic fitness and see to it that the employees remain focused with their approach to the life. It's not only the working life that is in question, but also it is about how they want to approach the life at large. And that is where the HR comes into picture. Training activities are going to be virtual, but they need to be conducted in a very methodical manner. Though they are virtual, HR as a facilitator is going to play a larger role over there. So all those activities which HR used to do, right from processing PMS, taking a career progression, joining is going to be e-joining. So all those activities are going to be there. So HR per se has become an instrumental initiator for an organization to communicate with the organization. Earlier, the leaders used to call people and tell the HOD, the senior management used to call the HODs and tell them certain decisions. But now they have to route through HR because the right time of communication, they have understood that the communication has to go through HR, and HR is certainly is at a center point, at a focal point. So in my take, HR is getting a due weightage in this hour of crisis. There are a number of people who have rose to the occasion in this COVID-19, and they are duly been recognized by the employees as their savior. Thank you.
Thank you, Praveen. Thank you so much. Friends, we are now coming to the closure. It has been really excellent. Before I give my closing remarks, I request my all panelists to give their closing remarks in a minute or two. What is their message? What they really want to say to the hundreds of people attending? What is their thought, and what are the message the participants to carry home? So may I request Mishra ji, your closing remarks, please.
Yeah, sure, Dwivedi Saab. I think the most important thing for all the students, faculty, and all the leaders across the corporates and the management institute, these educational institute, what I would say that everyone must learn some of the basic things, as we say, that the true test of leadership characteristic is during crisis and this kind of unprecedented situation. So from that point of view, it's very important for everyone to learn their leadership test and let them garner a lot of knowledge and test their own leadership requirement, that how exactly situation is, and they must try to rise to the occasion. As far as students are concerned of Aditya Institute and any other corporate institute and many others, I think in these kind of situation, there are going to be plenty of opportunity, plethora of opportunities with respect to a lot of startup and entrepreneurial things. So it's very important that people start learning some of the entrepreneurial requirement with respect to their own personality. Even on people skills also, if they can polish and they can fine tune some of the requirement, how exactly they come across with people, how they collaborate, how exactly they care for others, they listen to others, they can develop great empathy for each other. That's how I think overall things can become much better, and then we can develop a much bigger and much better society in time to come. And not to give up under any situation. I think every opportunity, every situation brings in new things, a new way of doing things. Human mind is always creative, as we know. We can always rise to the occasion and think some innovations and innovative ideas and come up with some wonderful solutions. And that's how we can rather contribute towards the larger purpose and larger success of the society.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mishra ji. Over to Bartanu ji.
Yeah, I would agree with Mishra ji. I think he has given an extremely positive and optimistic observations. I also personally feel that India is a land of great opportunity, and the story is not over. The abhi bhi film baki hai. So what I'm trying to say is, a huge lot of opportunities are there. This is only a temporary setback, and we'll come out of it very successfully. And each individual has to now look at and explore the gifts of God that that the individual has been bestowed with by the Almighty. So therefore, what are those? They are in what we call the realm of possibilities are so huge, that gift of potential and what we call the power and the energy that an individual has. So how to capitalize them, how to look at them, the inner power, and bring those aspects of you may say right from building a new skill set, learning something new, experimenting with something, and of course while we are doing all these things, the negativity and all those uncertainties will prevail upon, and therefore we need to have the skill set how to have the coolness, composure, and patience to face this situation with a underlying positivity in the mind that we'll overcome this. And the story of India, I still believe that it is a huge talented country. We have entire world is now looking towards us, and right from consumption story to your manufacturing story and IT talent and the what we call the quantum, the quantifications of the mathematics skills or the quantitative skills that our people possesses, and huge social skills, huge talent. So therefore, I think we should not at all take it as a setback. It is absolutely a very, very temporary phase, and this may stay for some time. Let me say, so therefore, a long-term view. Don't get absolutely pessimistic about it, and we'll overcome this situation. And we have to probably what we call do well living within this kind of ambiguous and difficult situation. So our entire strategies, creativity and innovation of human mind has to come into play, and not only in academic field, but all generation of people everywhere has to think like that. Then only we'll be able to come out so successfully. So thank you very much for giving me this chance to be part of this panel.
Oh, nice, Abu Bartanoji. Thank you. Praveen, over to you. Your closing remarks, please.
I see there are two types of categories that are part of this seminar. One is the working professionals, and second are the students. So my submission to working professionals, this is all it is all into learning or for all of us. I never would have thought in my entire lifetime that I will tell the same sentence and my son will also tell the same sentence, that I was locked down for 2 months and my son will also say that I was locked down for 2 months. And this is a unique situation that we are into, and this situation has made us to think through. There are few people who are actually thinking the meaning of life. There are few people are thinking that why we are getting into this rat race. We have to work 9 to 5 for the peace of mind that we are enjoying now sitting at home. And there is more peace of mind if we go out of the city and be at our native places and get into gardening, agriculture and whatnot. So there are different kinds of thoughts which are coming into people's mind. And but as it may, as our HR professionals, we have to list down our priorities. There are some hard choices that business houses has to make, and being a partner to our management, we have to sometimes implement those hard choices. But while implementing those hard choices, we need to see to it that the human angle is not missed out into it. There are other things like, when you are in a manufacturing company, you have assembly line, you have storeroom, you have lab, then you have a finance section. You might have to create a quarantine room also. You never know in your own organization when the new normal will start in, whether somebody is there who needs a quarantine room. But that's the fact of life that one have to live with. So that's a problem solving approach that one has to get into, rather than throwing the problem out of the dustbin. Honesty will play a role. Being empathetic will play a larger role. Communicating with 10 people and those 10 communicating with others. So 10 by 10 by 10 module work really well if you are honestly conveying what you think and how the management is thinking about this situation. So there is a lot of fear factor will go away. And when you do these things, when I told you certain stories, write down those stories, convey those stories by writing those through your blogs. This will inspire your people to look for a larger picture. So that's for the professionals. For the students, please upgrade yourself, upgrade your skills. See to it that your communication is improving, your networking skills is improving. See, take help of networking. Join such kind of webinars which are getting arranged due to COVID-19. Lot of seminars which are happening. Join those seminars. Make friends with industry colleagues, and those could be your entry points to get into the organization. And when you do this, read, keep on reading. Also write blogs what you feel. The blogs, if they get noticed by some of us, will get enticed about your personality, and those could be your entry point into the organization. So that's my submission, sir. My best wishes to
Thank you, Praveen. Thank you so much. Thank you all the panelists, and wonderful insight, lot of practical inputs, lot of empirical approach. I am sure this is going to help all of us. Friends, Bhagavad Gita says, Yoga Karmas Kausalam. We have to work irrespective of office at work. I remember people used to come to HR heads, to everybody, boss, we need to have work from home policy. At least महीने में एक दिन तो करा दो. So now people are coming कि boss अभी ऑफिस आने दो, बहुत हो गया work from home. And friends,
बहुत झाड़ू कटका मार दिया.
Complaint कि sir, our organization is not having the best policy, work from home होना ही चाहिए. And now the same people are telling sir please office आने दो. So there are a lot of changes. The Ramayana, the first line says, Swanta Sukha Tulsi Raghunath Gatha. Whatever you do for your own pleasure, for your own satisfaction. So friends, have lot of pleasure and passion in your profession, in your organization, in your institute. Have a lot of pride in yourself, in your family, in your organization, in your country. And I'm sure all of you will be winner. And I thank the Aditya Institute of Management Studies and Research, Ashish Misra ji, Dr. Sunita, and all the faculty, all the team for excellent job and giving opportunity to all of us. And thank you all participants. If some of the questions we have not answered, I request the director to please compile the question and send to all the panelists. They will be extremely happy to answer the questions. And that's how it is difficult in such a short time. We'll take all the questions. So once again, thank you all the panelists, all the participants, and the faculty and the management of Aditya Institute. Over to you, Dr. Sunita.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the wonderful speakers. In fact, you have painted a picture, a very optimistic picture of the future, and it gives us reassurance of the fact that if the students are going to get groomed with the right skills, they are certainly going to make it big and they are going to turn out to be successful. I think that is the way in which you have touched us, the insights which were shared by each of the panel members to begin with. If I have to talk about Mr. Praveen Sawant, I think he has talked a lot about the realities that exist in the corporate world and how is it that recruitments are going to take care of the retention policies within organizations. Coming to Shri Mishra ji, you were so impressive in terms of telling us about the tips that have to be undertaken by the new generation to be able to become successful in future. Thank you so much for that. Mr. Bartanu Das, I really loved the way in which you said that the flower that blooms in adversity is rarest and the most beautiful one. I think the power of resilience, the way you have talked about it again and again, that is something which is going to be taken away by all the participants who have attended today's webinar. And above all, Dr. Dwivedi sir, I think he has been such a wonderful moderator. He has picked up the right questions. The number of questions, as he has stated very clearly, have not been answered actually. I am definitely going to pass on all the questions to the panel members so that the participants can get the right answers from the experts' views. And your opinion matters a lot to us because that reinforces and reestablishes the way in which COVID-19 is presenting challenges to us as a B school, as well as to all the participants who are attending this program. So thanks once again to all the wonderful speakers. Dr. Dwivedi sir, thanks a lot to you. Special thanks for bringing together such a wonderful panel. My heartfelt thanks to the entire team at Aditya Institute of Management Studies and Research, all my faculty colleagues, all the staff members who have been able to put this act together, and above all, this wonderful group of 700 plus participants who showed their enthusiasm for participating in today's webinar. I am really grateful to them because they have shown that yes, positivity and creativity has a big role in everyone's life. The post-COVID-19 world is going to be full of optimism, and I'm sure of that because each one of us has taken away the right lessons today. So thanks to each and every person once again. So with this, I think we can declare the webinar closed.